All right, peace to the guys, and welcome to the Road to Discovery podcast. This is your host, Christian King Taylor, and I'm honored to have my brother with me again, Mr. Sun Ray. How you doing, brother?
So joyful and abundant and peaceful.
I hear you, man. I hear you. So, yeah, it's been a couple days, a little minute since we've got back on. I'm glad to speak with you again, man.
Yeah, man, I'm excited, dude.
Yeah. So, how I wanted to start our conversation today. I wanted to keep it a little simple, but I think it's something that can build into something even bigger, So I wanted to ask, what's your reference or your opinion on the difference between belief and knowing, or believing and knowing?
Oh yeah, that's beautiful.
I
You
believe
only,
that's very important, very, very important.
yeah, yeah. People don't really stop to ask that. That's a real deep question. But first of all, you only can believe in something that you don't know.
That's
And
deep.
once you once you understand that, um, then it's easy to see the difference between the two. It's more easier. Knowing is embodied. It doesn't require explanation. It doesn't require proof. It doesn't require validation. It just is. It's as natural as the breath itself. It's a state of being, which is knowing. I know that I'm here. I know that I'm breathing. I know that I'm a father. You know what I mean? I know that I'm sitting down right now. So look at it as something so obvious. I know that my hand is near my face right now. You know what I mean? Like, um, and belief, you can't know it, to believe it. But both can exist in once because it can exist in the same space because all of that space when it comes to knowing is taking up already by the knowing, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
there is no room for belief where knowing exists. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I when I thought about this topic yesterday, I was thinking like everything that turns into something great, or anybody that turns into a master, has to enter the level of knowing. Like the only difference, the reason why Steph Curry is so great at shooting is because he knows he's going to make it. He went from the point where he was probably a child, when he was believing that he was going to make it every time, or he was going to. And as when it comes with training and things like that, you're not going to make all your shots, and sometimes you can get disheartened. But through practice and through repetition, you start to know, like, if I do this right and I do this, I know these actions are going to come. So I like to look at that in the same sense of everything. If I know I will be, great and do all these things, and I know I will do this, then it should ease the journey to getting to those points. And I think that's the difference when people talk about manifesting and doing other things. And even when it comes to just spirituality, like, we believe in God, or I believe in these things. And it's such a large gap in between that I believe and knowing. That's why I like how you phrased it when you said, believing is not knowing, because you're already telling yourself, I believe, I hope. And like, or even if I asked you a simple question like, hey, you gonna come to my party next weekend? If you told me I believe I'll come, I probably won't think you're coming. But if you was like, I know I will be there, that's for certain, and I'm for sure that I will see you at my party. So I think that's uh, a fundamental practice when it comes to self trust, and when it comes to knowing yourself, because we like to do things like learn how to believe in ourselves, and how to enrich and manifest all these things. But if we don't know what's for us is what for us, then there's always a lot of doubt. That's just like saying that I'm going to try to do something. Trying already eliminates the actual me doing it. I'm already self-defeating, you know.
Exactly. You're creating resistance when you say you're trying something because you're putting into vibrational words that you lack, the necessary tools to be in the state of, you know what I mean? So yeah, you got to get conscious with the words. It's all one and the same. That's some real some real deep stuff, man.
Yeah,
Some amazing
because
reflection, man.
when I was thinking about the process with Steph Curry, I'm like, that's the only thing that changes and makes him even greater. Like that knowing takes his practice to another level. That
Mhm.
knowing takes everything to another level. If we wouldn't even try to shoot the ball if we didn't think we were going to make it, and that thinking we're going to make it can change into I believe I'm going to make it. And after you start to believe enough, you can grow into I know I'm going to make it. And that's when you get to the point where you can shoot the ball and turn around and then you got to look at it going in. And that's I think that's the level we need to get into life, to the point where when I put something out there, I don't have to sit and watch and wait for it to complete itself. I know it's going in already. I can walk away and I can continue with doing what I'm doing. I can say it's on its way, you know?
And to expunge on that even further, not only agreeing that it is coming, but agreeing that I am it now. I have
It
it
is.
now,
It
and
is.
being there in the moment. So if somebody is put in an atmosphere about something they prefer, then they walk around and feel as though it is here, right here in the moment, in this in this vibration. So it's and that's a tricky part, you keep on, because once you push it out there and you create separation between you and your preferred reality, those little subtle words and those little subtle vibrations about it's coming, it's almost here, it still is putting you here and putting it there. You have to be it
Hmm.
and know it and exude it, you know what I mean? So I am it. Steph Curry, it ain't like I'm shooting it in and it's about to go in. Steph Curry, like, it's already
It's
done.
in.
I'm
It's
turning
already in.
around.
It's already
How
in.
many of you didn't turned around? It's over with. Let's get on defense.
And the thing is, I don't think I've ever seen him miss when he turns around.
I don't remember one either yet. No, I don't remember
You
one either
know?
yet. But it's been so many of them. So he get into that flow state. I think it's a direct correlation to his gameplay, his style, and how it's very fluid and moving and running gun, and how it's so quickly to get in the flow state when you're trusting yourself that much, opposed to
Hmm.
trying to manipulate the physical and everything else around you, and opposed to just knowing that I'm throwing this up and it's going. And it's like,
Hmm.
yeah, it's you almost have to have a play style like that, because his flow state is directly correlated to his confidence, which is
Hmm.
directly correlated to his knowing. It's all the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and confidence is everything. And I
Everything.
think and I think we lose that when we become part of, like, just the corporate world, and even when we have families and we're doing things, we get into a stage of we're just moving. We just have to do what we got to do, and we don't have that same flow when it comes to things. That is where it's just trust. Like every time anything might go a different way, or a way where we don't see coming, we get a little agitated, or we get stressed out, or we get anxious about things, and we can worry about the future, worry about the past. And but if imagine living in that flow state where it don't matter what can come for you. You could be in the middle of a tornado, but if you're at peace, you're still at peace. That tornado doesn't even exist at that point. And that's even how you can look at the whole bigger picture of like what really does exist. And I think that kind of segues perfectly into just the stage of the world right now, where it's so much fear mongering and so much stuff going on. But that peace within and that knowing within gives them no power. It takes away everything.
Absolutely. It's all connected. Everything is one and the same. You and I are one and the same. The reason, the way that the turmoil is directly correlated to the consciousness rising. It's all
Hmm.
connected. So bigger distractions when when conscious rising is going to be bigger distractions. It's a yin and yang. Is how it happens. Why
Yeah,
wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't you? If your entire manipulation tactic involves a ton of distractions, why wouldn't it be
yeah,
more distractions when it's more conscious rising? So it's
yeah.
definitely all connected.
Like
And
even just the fact that it's called a distraction lets you know that the focus must be on something else.
oh yeah,
The
exactly.
there must be a much larger focus going on if the distractions have to be so big. You know,
That's
just
huge.
even it being a
Yeah.
distraction lets you know the opposite end of it. It lets you know how large that is,
Mm.
and all is balance. You know,
And it's quiet. The distractions is loud, but the awakening is quiet. It's not
right?
televised like you think it would be. You think it'd be marches and doing that. They tried to tell you it's gonna
So,
be quiet and subtle because it's consciousness. It's not all of that crazy stuff. Now, I'm not saying crazy stuff might not come with some, but the entirety is about consciousness. Once you remember who you are, it's over with instantly. A certain amount of people remember who they are and open their crown chakra and connect back to the divine. Well, you can't be disconnected, but you can create an experience of disconnection, if you
mhm,
believe it enough. But if we get to a certain amount of people that transcend to a higher level of consciousness, then the earth shifts to a higher
it
level of
shifts.
consciousness and the curse breaks. So they don't want people to remember. So
Yeah.
distractions.
And that's exactly why I always bring this up. They told us in the 80s and the 70s the revolution will not be televised. So we have to have knowing, we have to have
Mm,
trust that the point in consciousness that we are right now, we are not alone in it. Just like how I found
mm,
you, and it was not there was no searching, there was no this, and once it connected, we got able to do this instantly. And we were in the flow, and then I didn't even know what type of intellect or what type of consciousness you would be bringing, but once we shared a screen, it was cohesive. So we have to be in a great knowing that they're not going to announce their defeat.
mm,
They're not
mm.
going to announce their struggles or their announce that the shift is happening, that things are changing. That's why we're going to have a lot of things where, oh, they're flying to the moon right now, and we're going to have Epstein lists, and we're going to have the war in Iran, and we're going to have all these things happening
Aliens.
at one time, just so perhaps you might look away and not believe or not know what's actually going on within you. You're sharing that within millions or billions of other people.
Mm,
And in actuality, the earth itself is its own organism. Just like how you said a second ago, as we shift, the earth shifts. But I also think it's an opposite. We are just tenants on this earth. We are just here. The earth shifts and does this same fluctuation all throughout time. It's been doing
mhm,
this. That's how we have these ancient cultures and all these ancient things, because it had these high vibrational times. So as the earth changes and shifts, we shift with it. I know it feels like a personal experience, and I know media makes it feel like it's a lonely experience, but in actuality, it's something that's happening on a mass, and it will not be televised, it will not be broadcasted, but it will be felt and it will be understood.
That's crazy, lad. That's like it's if you really understood, probably 1% of 1% know the depths of what you just said. Like that statement, people don't recognize this. That's 100% true. This universe, this physical reality, it fluctuates similar to how we have seasons, and there's low vibrations and there's high vibrations, and it
Mhm.
fluctuates. And right now we're at the peak, getting ready to switch back over to the high vibration times. There's been high vibration times. This is why we had ancient Tartaria, and before that we had ancient Atlantis, and before that we had Sumeria and Lumeria, and then and it's been low vibrational times. I think a lot of like the last high vibrational time in my opinion, I'm about 99% sure about this. I just have to meditate a little bit more. But the Dark Ages was the last high vibrational time, and those years were the ancient Tartarians, all of these old ethereal constructs that's still here from the old world, getting energy directly from the ether and powering up a building. I think that was a very high vibrational time. That was like, and a part of the downfall included like the downfall of Greece and the Library of Alexander. And I think they took all of that stuff and then they told everybody, hey, it was just a shitty, horrible time where all of the information, where it was like primitive and nobody know what happened. I just think it was a part of the history that they didn't want to know. That was, that was the high vibration time. And it's been, and if you look at the patterns, it's almost anywhere between like 300 and every 320 years, it's like a change. And like, if you really knew about it, when the Aboriginals were here and we were fighting all of the Britain and the Frenchmen and the Spain and all of them, that was about that 320-year mark ago. And it's like, oh, now it started to make sense right before the mud floods. Like, it's all connected. And but just what you were saying, like, yeah, we're here. And no matter what, we're going to ride the coast, because yes, that's 100% true. But it gets even deeper, because no matter what, all of this is still a dream that's happening inside a source. So your vibratory frequency still dictates which timeline you get to witness. You know what I mean? So it's all one and the same. It's all true. It all makes sense.
Yeah. And also, even if you look at the text and all the things that they share with us, they the in terms of when the Moors ruled Spain coincided directly with the Dark Ages. When Columbus came over here, he was literally just kicked out of Spain. That same year, 1492, just kicked out of Spain. And even if you look at biblical texts, they say Satan will run dominion over the world for about 600 years. If you look at 1492, what's about 600 years from then? Present time. It's all shifting in the same ways that they tell us, and the truth is always told. They just like you said, it was when we spoke before. It was how'd you phrase it? It was karmic something.
Karmic retribution.
Karmic retribution. They're very much aware of karmic retribution. Not saying even they, just the way the universe works. It must tell you what it gives to you, and you make the choices of whether you take understanding or you just go with it. But we're well aware of everything that's been happening if you take the time to be aware of it. And it just shows how beautiful this time is and how it will be right now, because they're afraid. There's a lot of stuff going on. Russia is releasing so many depictions and images of Black Jesus and Black Mary and all these other things. There's so much documents coming out. There's so many melanated people in this land right now that are finding their awareness of their indigenous roots, and it's not by happenstance. It's not by accident.
Exactly. It's not a coincidence that everybody is all of a sudden getting in tune and using copper or messing with crystals or getting in tune with nature and grounding and getting under the sun, and people starting to eat better and starting to ask questions. It's not a coincidence that people starting to break down some of these dietary restrictions that other countries have that the United States don't have. And as a result, all these diseases, these diseases are running rampant here in the United States, and all of these cancer causing and high blood pressure and thyroids and just throwing off your energy, these crown chakra blocking, man, just hormone disruptors. It's all around, and it's a reason why we're starting to become much more conscious of these poisons that we so consistently ingested naturally. I mean, consistently and normally on a consistent
Mhm.
basis. Like it's amazing, and it's all correlated. What is so exciting, right? What a time to be right here, right now, to be able to witness this rise in consciousness. Like you're literally a part of the revolution. Like celebrate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, sir. And I always like to ask people because I don't have any children, and I think being a parent is
I
one
can't
of
hear
the.
you anymore.
Oh, hold on. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Oh shit. Can you hear me now?
I can't hear anything if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. See, can you hear me? God damn. All right. Well, I believe Sunray is gonna come right back. But what I was about to get into with him is just the process of parenting and parenting in a vibrational high conscious way. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it must be when I leave and come back, it shuts off what you can hear or something.
Yeah.
All right. So the question I was going to ask, because just like I was saying, I believe being a parent is one of the most fundamental and most important jobs here. I'm wondering how you induce these ancient but new thoughts and new ways of beings into raising your children, and how does that even show? Like what do you see when you're raising a high vibrational child?
Well, first and foremost, don't put so much pressure on yourself. Your kids absorb your consciousness through your breath, right? Through your aura, being through your constant um presence. So no matter what you do, what you instill in them, how much you teach them, whoever you are, they're going to absorb your consciousness. So the best thing you can do as far as being a parent, period, high vibrational or whatever, is to be the best version of yourself. Because if you're happy and you're fulfilled and you are present behind your eyes, they will grow up to be happy and present themselves. So that's the key. It's not about trying to raise baby
Mm.
Jesus and putting so much pressure on yourself. That's one. It's going to be a ton of options when it presents itself. I think everybody should homeschool because we know that uh, Epstein's stepdaddy is in charge of the curriculum in public schools, and a lot of people don't know that. And I think as of right now, if you didn't know, 2025 was a record-breaking year for melanated people homeschooling, and I think that's going to continue to rise as people rise in consciousnesses. Because if you give people domain over the education of your child, not only do you give them the choice to choose what your child learns, but you also give them the chance to choose how they learn. You know what I mean? So not only is it like you want to focus on a bunch of an area that just isn't really conducive to a good life or a successful life, and then not only that, on the things when you do focus on like math, that can be extremely beneficial to have a fundamental, structure and math. But if you're focusing on Pythagorean's theory and fucking sine and cosine, and I've never used it in my entire life, and I don't know anybody personally that's ever used it in their entire life. Matter of fact, I can guarantee you that it's more people that that teach Pythagorean's theory than actually using it for any other reason as far as the knowledge. And it's good. It's silly when you say it out loud, but that's the truth. So it's that little percentage. So not only are you doing that, so it's like, why are we tying up so much energy learning this useless shit that does nothing for me? You're having these kids be stressed out studying and memorizing some shit that's not even conducive to a successful life. For two, the content in which you do give them, like history, is taught from your perspective, from your distortion, and also from your best interests at heart. I mean, if you got the ability to program 95% of kids in an entire country, wouldn't you do it to make sure that you benefit somehow from that? And it makes perfect sense when you start asking this question. So I think that is just so important to important factor for those who never considered it. And then life is not even structured from according to societal standards to even support the idea of homeschooling, because a lot of people don't have the luxury of being at home that much because they have to go out and make the money. So it's nothing is to shame anybody, but it is to open up people's eyes to at least consider it, because once you just consider it and noodle on it and you start doing your research, no matter whatever has to happen will have to happen, but at least you know that. But I think that's
what I was going to ask too. Mm-hmm. It's for people who have to work and have to be out the house. They would love to homeschool, maybe homeschool their children, but they don't have the time to do so. So they have to send them to regular schooling. Should there be a process of unlearning at home, or should there be another process of more education? And will that overwhelm the children? What's your thoughts on that?
I just can't condone schooling period, because no matter what, if you send them to an institute for 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, 5 days a week for 12 years, it's going to negatively impact them in ways that will probably affect them for the rest of their life. If you go into the deep psychology, which most people don't go into, over 90% of high school graduates from public schools are still negatively impactful psychologically, and they don't even know it. And let me give you a few examples. For one, external validation, the grading system, period. You have to continuously yearn for external validation by presenting yourself as remembering things, and it perpetuates a system. It builds it in your mind since you're 5 years old. Some people start at 4, some of them start at 3. No matter what, you got to go and get your golden stars, you got to go and get your A's. It just constantly puts you in the field of people pleasing, and that can negatively impact you if you don't learn it after years and years. The best people pleasers often gets the best rewards. What does that do? So even if you got all A's as a result as a kid, what type of negative effects did that have on you, constantly putting that entire pressure on you for a consistent basis for 12 years, never having the chance to really just be and do things that made you happy because you wanted to make sure that you continuously appeased to that and you were good at it. 2, you're sitting next to your best friend and you're in a 2nd grade. You're sitting next to your best friend and you're told not to talk to them. Like psychologically, what does that do to a kid? 3, kids learn by movement. So why are we making them sit down at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old age, sit down for an hour straight? That is non-conducive to learning, and actually was been studied. It's confirmed 100% that kids learn more while they're being mobile. 2, I'm on like fucking 4 or 5 now at this point, but we can go to the next one. The teasing thing. You can't. First of all, we got the worst diet in the entire world. here in the United States. It's absolutely chemically based. It's full of food dyes, hormone disruptors, just GMOs. They're banned in other countries. We have same food with the same brand, with the same flavor, yet they give us a horrible ingredient list and give other European countries and other countries and other Asian countries a lot less and much less harsh chemical-based ingredients. It's absolutely asinine.
He's giving
How
bags
we
of milk at 7
come on now. Come on now. It's like it's absolutely asinine. So that's not, and then like you can't be flatulent, right? Most of this bullshit is going to cause gas. But if you pass gas in an inner school and public schools, you will be castrated and teased so much for doing something that is actually a natural response to the fucking chemicals that we ingest on a daily basis. You can't be dumb. You can't go behind. If you read out loud and you skim over something, then you're shamed. How much are you shamed in public school on a regular basis? You can't even wear comfortable clothes because they will bash you at certain schools. They will literally, it got so bad that some people want to commit suicide. If it gets to the point where somebody want to off themselves, just think to the people who never got that bad, but just deal with it on a consistent basis. It's still some residual long-term effects that never get addressed by that. Not to mention waking up from school. Kids require more sleep than us, but we waking them up at 6 in the morning every day. They get 6 hours of sleep, and we sending them to go do something that's boring as shit. And we're making them sit there, and as a result, they're not getting enough sleep. Like even if they went to sleep at 9 or 8, whatever your thing is, and you let them sleep naturally, not waking them up, a lot of them kids will sleep a lot later than they getting woken up to go to public school for. So why the fuck are we making school so long instead of allowing kids to get the natural amount of sleep so they can grow and be strong and be competent and be happy and not depressed and not anxious?
Let me ask you this. Were you homeschooled?
No.
So fitting perfectly in, being that you weren't homeschooled and I wasn't homeschooled, what was that journey like growing out of all that indoctrination, growing out of all those things?
Amazing.
Because we dealt with all of that. So what was that process like for you personally?
It was great. It was unraveling knots. It was validation. I dreaded school. And how many other kids wake up in the early day and they rise and they dread the day. They dread going to sleep and they dread it, and we normalize the dread because it's preparing them to dread the life of working, maybe. But it's like this is their only time to be free. Why are we preparing them to be workers when we could just let them be kids right now? They got the rest of their life to work and wake up and do some shit they don't want to do. Can we allow them to just be free for a little while? Can we find a good balance where they actually go to sleep excited to start the next day? It's not that fucking hard to make a kid happy, but sending them to school every day sure as fuck ain't. And again, it normalizes the dread. So what does that do to long-term people? I think that's why some people grow up and after they finally get free, they just let go. They get dirty. They let themselves go. They gain weight. They don't groom themselves because they perform so bad that it almost broke it. They almost broke the psychological reasoning behind it. And when they got freedom to not have to perform, they didn't do anything. So as a result, it just made them, just dark and depressed and turn out to be lazy people. I think it's like two real bad type of long-term negative effects. It's the lazy person, and then it's the people pleaser. It's the person that did do good and they don't know how to turn it off. They still performing no matter what. They perform in their relationships. They perform in their friendships. They perform with family because it's been embedded in their head to show your worth no matter what, or it's not safe. And but back to your question. It was fun. It was refreshing. It was validating because it was like, oh, I get it now. It makes sense. It was time where I used to just perform, and I wanted to get all the good grades. And I'm an ADHD kid. I never read a full book until I was in my 20s. And that was and that was a struggle. And then the first day I was introduced to Adderall, which I don't take anything more, but the first time I introduced Adderall, I read a full book almost the same day. And I was like, holy shit, this is why people read? Like, you telling me you don't just instantly start daydreaming and get sleepy and all of the tears start rolling down your eyes and it's hard to concentrate and it just start damn near hurts to read. You telling me you can just literally read and comprehend? This is why people actually sit and read a book, but you never really take the time to even, get no shit like that. First of all, if your mama even took the time to try to focus on like ADHD or any mental illnesses, you castrated and teased about it. And then for two, they make it seem like something is wrong with you, but the curriculum is boring as fuck. Why would a kid who's full of life want to get up and go do some boring shit for, you know what I mean? Like, if you took the time to figure out what they're into, what they gravitate towards, what bring them happiness, fulfillment, what lights up their genuine natural curiosity, and start letting them know, study things about that that can potentially get them in a career that aligns with that, so they can have access to that state of that being on a consistent basis. I guarantee every kid will study their ass off because it makes sense of who they are. But we don't take time, and then we tell them, hey, since you don't cater to our system, something is wrong with you, and we label them something. And as a result, the kids are programmed to tease that person to make them, well, you know what I mean? You can, and just a real big one. Creativity, like open-mindedness. If you solve a problem and you don't do it the way that I tell you to do it, a lot of kids are held accountable and castrated by that. So what did that teach you? That your open creativity and an open mind is not safe, so conform to societal fucking standards. What does that do to a kid's creativity, a grown man's creativity long term?
Mm-hmm.
Their basic fundamental structure, when they first start to get creative and find creative ways that made it easy for them to navigate a problem, you held them accountable and punished them at an early age when they were still building the foundational structure of their perception of reality. So how does that manifest at 35 if you never look at it, do it?
Right.
So, man.
All right. I mean, it makes perfect sense, and it makes sense to why we move into the workplace spaces, and we hate those spaces also. I see there's people who are doing their so-called dream job, and it can turn into a job. It turns into pain and just constant belittling, and just like, I'm sure you've been in a work office or workspace. It feels like high school. There's old people, and there's people from the 60s all the way down, but it still feels like high school. It still feels like people talking behind their back. It feels very cliquish. It feels very, you can feel lonely. You can feel demanding. You can feel all these things, and it correlates straight into the workplace and the workforce. And I think it goes right with what you're talking about. We're trained from a very young age to start despising our day to day, and start looking forward to these weekends, looking forward to 2 days when I can do whatever I can. When in actuality, especially the way things are set up now, the weekends get so packed with things to do that we're working on the weekends. And now, especially with things being so pricey and how things are, even our hobbies are forced to become monetized and things. I can't even sitting here talking to you right now. Somebody may ask me, well, how are you monetizing that? How do you make money out of it? How does this happen? When in actuality, we don't really have spaces to just enjoy. Even when, if you take your lady to on a trip or anything, we're gonna get some content of this and that and these things and all this stuff. It's like we've been brainwashed into working our entire life, and it's like we've grown to be comfortable with the slavery they've offered us. As long as we receive these papers or these digits on the phone that say, oh, you have money, you have this, so that makes you free. But in actuality, we're just slaves that get paid.
Energy is knotted up. They got our energy knotted up. And I just want to go to a point that you made that was real deep, and I want to just expunge on it a little bit. People who even people who doing what they always wanted to do. First of all, we all change our mind. And just because you wanted to do it at the beginning of college, 15 years later don't mean that it's still going to bring you fulfillment. So whatever that irky feeling is that you're not happy, you're not fulfilled, listen to it, lean into it, and figure out what it is you're trying to tell yourself. For two, if you're doing, I think we normalize dread at school, which normalizes dread as an adult. And it's a lot of people who are living unfulfilled lives. Like if you're not fulfilled and most of your day is filled with dread and bullshit, it's like at that point, you might as well just quit your job. You know, see, like you can figure something else out. Now I know some people got obligations and kids and other things like that, but it's like if you are feeling dread every day, this is already as bad as it gets because you deserve more than dread. So you like we have to take chances and you know, and first of all, we got to raise our levels of consciousness and not depend so. I think we depend on manipulating the physical so much, trying to set a goal and make sure that that goal come into fruition and that tear us up. Now we're inside. We forget this is a dream. Just like it's like being in a dream at nighttime and forgetting you in a dream and crying in your ass off and not knowing that you are the person that's resting that can really just think of a better life and live a better life. So we get caught up in just continuously on the grind. I gotta grind. I gotta keep manipulating the physical. You ain't went within at all, which could have solved all of your problems because you too busy manipulating the physical, the external, thinking about next week, and then after next week I'm gonna work that 40, then I'm gonna go ahead and do that double, and you're never being here in the present, in the now, and actually going inward to actually manipulate the within. You know, if you go within as without, you know.
In actuality, even if you think about how they do the grading system, the lowest you can get is called a fail. And the word fail carries this dead end sense of saying that I did not succeed. There is no outside of that. When in actuality, failure doesn't exist because we always have the opportunity to continue. You know, you can. It does not exist. If you lose a job and this and that happens, you have the opportunity to go back and find something else. You have the now you have the space and time to actually figure out what exactly you need to do or what's going on. Like even I think we think in such grandiose ways where we act like these short moments are so long spanned and it's going to have such a lifelong effect because that's what they tell us in high school. Like, oh, these years are going to change the whole of your life, that we carry those things. Like when we make simple mistakes with our children, we think, oh, that's going to last them forever. But you have forever to heal from those things. You have forever to actually change. But instead, we think that forever is more of a prison sentence where we're living in that space forever, and we're not actually putting the effort in to say there is no such thing as failure. I just have to keep on moving, because it, just like if we go back to the basketball analogy, if I was so afraid to miss a shot, I would never shoot again. When in actuality, it just depends on what person you are and how much you believe is how much the actual percentage of missing and making changes. In actuality, there's always either 50% chance you're gonna make it, 50% chance you're gonna miss. But when you learn to start knowing you can make and knowing you can do things, you can change those percentages. That's the same in life. We cannot stagnate ourselves just because of chance we might not succeed. And I think like I was telling you the first time we spoke, like they tell us, oh, marriage is bad, all this is bad because there's a 50% chance you're gonna get a divorce. But that means there's a 50% chance I'm gonna live happily ever after.
That's crazy.
And even if you just start looking at it in that way, it can change your whole journey through that marriage. If you're always preparing a marriage for divorce, then what is your real goal? If you go into it with someone saying that, oh, I got to do this just in case they leave and just in case this and just in case that, then you're already prepping for your actual goal, which is for the destruction of the union. But what if you actually went into it building towards, oh yeah, and then in 10 years we're gonna do this, and in 10 years after that we gonna do this, and we gonna do these, and I can't wait till we're 50 and we can do this. And it's like I was before we got on this call, to be vulnerable, my energy was a little bit low, and I just didn't know why. It's just stuff like that happens. So first I had on the YouTube, and then I cut on this podcast I like to listen to, and they were just talking and talking, talking. Not saying they're not talking about things that are significant or things that I need to hear, but I just didn't. The words was just agitating me. I didn't want to hear them talking. So then I was like, I'm gonna just cut on some music. So I put on the DJ set, and I first I put on R&B and hip hop from the '90s and 2000s, and did that. And they're playing T Pain and they're playing LL Cool J and stuff, and I'm like, this still isn't feeding my vibrations, because we're talking about drinking and we're talking about doing this. And it's funny, I saw a video who was saying like R&B changed when we stopped talking to the woman and start talking to our homeboys about it, about the women, like saying, oh, she's bad, she's this and this, and not saying like I love her, I want your love, I need your love. So then I put on a DJ set for old school soul music from the from the 60s and 70s, and it's just like listening to the content of these beautiful human beings. And who knows if they had it all together? They had their ups and downs and all that too, but they're just talking about love and how much I need you, and I want you, and I you make me happy. I want you to be happy, happy people. Like it's that's the theme along across the whole grand scheme of the genre is happiness, love, excitement, joy. Like they actually have songs titled all these things. you know, it's like it's just it made me hyper aware of the frequencies that we take in and that we put out all day and all long. Like, no doubt, I love me some good, early 2000s, 90s gangster rap for sure. Like I can be in that good mode and I can feel that, but in actuality, I can hear how older people, when I was a child, or they used to say like, "Oh, all they talking about is this and that." Duh, duh, duh. Yes, all they are talking about is killing our people. How much I hate niggas, and how much I'll steal a nigga girl, how much fuck that bitch, and all this other stuff. Where it's like, yes, it's supposed to be music, and so we're supposed to have a good time. But how much pain and hate do we need to have a good time? And why is that even correlated with good times?
Yeah. It's deep.
You know, and it's just like it's I'm just happy that that even the moment of just awareness to feel the vibrations and feel the change happened in order so I can even get on this podcast, because my vibrations probably would have been low getting on this before if I didn't reset it, but we have to realize the words, the movements, the states of being, the memories we hold, the anger we hold, all the things are physical things in our mental. It's not just fleeting memories and thoughts. They are physical, and if we start looking at them as physical, we start seeing how much space they take up in our entirety, and how much they're actually space they're taking up in our inside and our outside life, you know and we can be it is within us to feed each other actual nutrition, and not processed foods in the way of processed music, processed movies, and processed everything else. It's we have to start feeding each other things we love, things we need, feeding each other love, in actuality, just feeding love, you know?
Love. Love is coherence. Um,
Wait, break
coherence
that down
is
for me. Break that down.
coherence is like oneness, me knowing myself, like all that is, which some people call source or the most high. Um, all that is knows what all that is, and no matter where you look at it, it's all just one, which is pure coherence. So it's the same thing here. This is why authenticity is the most powerful vibration, is because
Hmm.
you're being closer to yourself. And in order to be yourself, you have to know yourself. You know what I mean? So you can't even be that authentic in ignorance, because it
Hmm.
requires self-identification to be able to. So and the easy way in this lifetime to follow your coherence is to follow your highest excitement, because whatever excites you, and I'm not talking about the low vibrational stuff, I'm talking about the entire timeline. You know, at any given moment we have a set of options on anything that we can do. Whatever is the most exciting path, look at the entire timeline of what would be the outcome of that. Like, not go and mess with a stripper and then get catch some shit or something. I'm talking about, like, we'll look at the entire timeline. Whatever timeline is the most exciting for you, if you should always do that with no insistence on how it physically manifests. That is coherence, because that's being who you are in that moment. So whatever induces the highest level of coherence also induces the highest level of love, because it's one and the same.
Well, let me ask you a question on that note specifically. Just because, if I could be transparent, I feel like I'm maybe getting a little bit better, but also sometimes I don't even know what excites me because I feel like I may have numbed myself for so long. And that's where even sometimes I have like I don't want to call it a jealousy, but I appreciate your energy so much because it's so much just I am it's light, it's this, and that doesn't come to me as easy. I don't feel like I'm in bad energy or in things like that, but I'm usually very much even keel in
Mm.
things like I don't. It's hard to get excited and jump around, or even hard to get so sad and punch the ground and do stuff. I'm very even keel, and I think that maybe came from my upbringing having to be that, and maybe what I felt I had to survive. So what would be your advice to me or other people that might be experiencing that?
For one, excitement for everybody else don't look the same. You know, your
Hmm.
excitement might look different from mine. It's at any given moment, it's you can still apply the same logic to you. There still will be a set of options on anything that's physically possible for you to do or focus on in that moment. And at that moment, out of all of those, which one seems even just the least bit more exciting than the rest of them? Because you deserve to do that for yourself because of who you are. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't I do? And sometimes that could be catering, because at that moment, if the most fulfilling thing in that moment is for you to cater to your wife or something like that, that whatever it is, whatever brings you the most excitement, and like, just even if it's just a little bit, that's the one you constantly do, and that's the way to get you out of this slump. Because no matter what, you're raising your vibration, even if it's just a little bit, and that brain chemistry is constantly getting triggered of that cycle of looking for the highest excitement, which gives you, which will make your brain almost normalize it, which will change your base to a higher frequency. Because I know that I'm going to do something that actually makes the moment, the present, more exciting than it is now. And once you start to trust yourself to continuously make yourself more present, more enjoyed, more fulfilled, you'll also raise your base frequency a little bit higher too.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, and I've that's been like the more current stages of my journey, trusting myself to be excited, to be these things, and I think I've done great. But I think it'd be a disservice if I didn't ask you that question because I know exactly where I was, and I know exactly how numb I was, and I know that there's a lot of men like me, specifically black men, that we have to numb ourselves to survive. That come from the environments I've come from. That come from the environments you've come from. This sometimes there's not a space where we can be those things. And also, even just as simple as a space where you can fully give yourself just the things you want and need, because we're in a space where we need to provide for others and give all these things to other people. We are usually the last person we think about. Just like if you ask most men don't give a damn about their birthday, or don't give a damn. Like, I don't really subscribe to a lot of holidays and birthdays and things like that. But also, me and my wife's birthdays are very close to each other, and that's also when where our wedding anniversary is. So we like to celebrate that week. So it's a union thing, and I think that helps. But
Mm.
also, sometimes when somebody talks about doing something for me, or helping me, or doing things, I get uncomfortable. Or somebody talks about celebrating me, I get uncomfortable, you know? So that's why I love your energy and I love your space, and I invite you to teach us, you know?
Oh man. Well, first of all, that's amazing self-awareness. So you got to give yourself some credit to even notice these things, because it takes some shadow work, and it takes a mirror to look at yourself that deep within, to call yourself out on certain things. Um so for me, the biggest thing was finding out that I can choose what state to be in no matter what, right? Because no matter what is always now, right? So
Mm-hmm.
why are you happy? Because why? That's because you program. You see, we program. Why? Like, no, just because. Like, out of right now, I just feel like being happy and excited, and then like it's always something, because I don't watch negative shit. I don't watch like the news. I don't want. Hey, you seen that little baby that got bit? No, I don't. Yeah, but don't you want to know what's no? Why would I? It's always people getting toe up and negative shit going on, and it's always amazing, beautiful blessings and high vibrational stuff going on. Whatever you focus on is what you actually manifest. So why would I focus on something like that? Like when somebody come to me and they complain about something, like I'm excited because I can help you unravel the knot, but we're going to have to unravel the knot. It's never going to be a beat up session. If you're talking about somebody else, I'm always bringing it to you, because the only thing we can control is us. What can we do to make us more happier in the future in this similar situation is what I like to focus on. So it's like, out of everything in the world, don't, if you're not trying to go there, then tell me about what makes you the happiest right now. Because I'm out of anything in the world, what makes you the happiest? I want to hear it. That's fucking exciting to me. But
Mm-hmm.
I'll change the like, I don't do the mopey stuff, and I bumped a lot. I lost some friends because I understand how uncomfortable it can be, and but I told my, like, I had amazing conversations, but like they used to take a turn, because when somebody changed the subject to something that's bothering them, or something that somebody that hurt them, I lean in. I love to understand, but then it's like, hey, let's talk about you though. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Why did you think this person should have done this based on you doing that? And that, you know what I mean? Like, I break down.
Yeah.
So and then from that standpoint, like, I still had a good time because I didn't fold myself into being inauthentic to cater to somebody, to keep the to try to appease to something, or keep the cool. It's just be yourself. And I think when you was talking about black man, it's a curse, right? It's a giant curse on people, because you don't have to do anything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think we just believe you have to do it, and we create an experience of have to do it. But I cater to myself every day, no matter what. Every day, all day, I'm putting myself first. Like, no matter what, the word selfish is not negative. It didn't used to be. It's been almost morphosized into that in current society. But the
Mm-hmm.
ancient Comedics looked at selfish as self-loving, as self-fulfilling. I can't do anything from you if I'm bad. The best thing a mama can do for a household is be happy.
Mm.
If mama happy, the whole house energy change. I don't care how much money y'all get. I don't care how much items y'all get. I don't care how many people visit, how big the house is, how beautiful. If she in a shitty mood and she mad and she stressed out all day, the house ain't shit. If she happy and y'all broke, the house is amazing. That's the power of our
Yeah.
attention. That's the power of our state of being. So, and if the daddy, if the daddy happy, it trickles down to the mama. And then
Mm.
the mama happy, it trickles down to the kids. So if the daddy ain't happy, the mama can't be happy, because she ain't gonna be able to bear all of that shit.
And honestly, in actuality, I think it might even be flipped, where
Yeah,
the mama is
oh,
is the trickle, because I think
Yeah, yeah.
that's the energy and power that women bring,
Oh,
where
I agree.
they set the energy for the whole house.
Oh, 100%.
Most men is like we can be indifferent at times, you know. But if my wife is happy, I'm extremely happy, you know.
Yeah.
Or because especially nowadays, a man could be happy and that can make a woman upset sometimes. You know? So in
It's a
actuality,
trickling effect.
I believe it starts with the woman, and where the woman is, if her energy spreads a lot quicker than I think anything else. You know, and I
Mm,
was also thinking about something you were saying, that just with speaking with people, and how you can get into discussions, and it can fall off because you people want to talk about bad things, and because we are in a time right now where I believe trauma bonding has developed more connections with people than actual love bonding, than actual happiness bonding. We trauma bond much more than anything. Like I could be walking down the street, somebody could pass by, we can be like, "Oh yeah, it's a beautiful day outside. Yeah, it's beautiful." But if I'm like, Trump is on some bullshit, ain't it? Hell yeah, we can end up having a 40-minute conversation just from that, you know.
yeah,
And
you know what? Because you're right. That's so deep.
and I think that's how we've been rewired. And even if you look at ourselves as an algorithm, it's
Mm,
like a lot of us are in the stage of staring at car crashes, and that's what's coming to us all the time. We're looking at stuff on the phone where it's like, oh, this bad thing happened, and it's like, damn, that's crazy, this is that. And we're looking at another bad thing, da, da, da. But it's like, how often are we sharing uplifting things? How often are we sharing good news? How often do we are we subscribing to good news channels, to positive people, to all these other things? You know, we have to realize where we're starting to enjoy trauma. We're starting to enjoy our pain, and that's a place where you can get stuck.
I'll even say it's not that we're starting to enjoy the pain and starting to enjoy trauma. I think that we're just starting to clearly see that we enjoy it. But we've
Mhm.
been enjoying it even through the 90s. Man, 90s was fucking crazy. Wow. East Coast versus West Coast, it was normalized. We was so lower vibrational. Even when we think of some of those times, even when we go back to the 70s and the 80s and we think of camaraderie, we were so low vibrational because we were high vibrational, but we were low resonance
But I mean,
because
the media that started to be monetized started to specifically be low vibrational. You
yeah,
know,
and
the
that
way they started to get money from us is low vibration.
I mean, we didn't know who we were. You know,
Hmm.
most of us, the civil rights movement was created to perpetuate the African American diaspora movement, to make everybody think that everybody came over on ships and that this is not our land and we are not the Aboriginal natives here. And it pushed and it normalized it. So we didn't even know who we were. So how how could we be ourselves? How could we exude that authentic energy if we didn't know, if we
Yeah,
actually didn't know who we were? You know what I mean? So
and plus, when everything we did got demonized, a lot of things we naturally did got demonized. You know, grouping up, like I know right now, a lot of times if I'm in a group of 7 dudes in front of my pop's house right now, we could get pulled over. Police could pull up on us and be like, "What y'all doing? What's going on? Let's break it up. Let's you know." And that has happened multiple times. You know, when we're in groups or when we're laughing loud, somebody will want to walk up and be like, "Hey, what's going on?" It's a training of the program of when we start to get into the space where I probably did, where I started to numb myself to these existential happinesses that I needed and that I loved and deserved, and we started, you know, dialing down ourselves to feel safe.
That's exactly what happens. It's all part of the program, you know. When a crazy news article come at the end of it, they'd be like, "Now back to your regular scheduled programming." It come from the movies and the TV shows and the books and all of that shit. It teaches you how to think. It perpetuates insecurity. You know what I mean? And it almost it paints insecure traits as strong traits. I don't care anybody in here at all. I'm hard. Anybody in here got something to say? Why you got to prove it so much? If you have to prove it, that just means you don't believe it, but they normalize it to make you seem like that's the strongest person. The cheetah is not constantly trying to fucking convince a dog that he faster. He like, nigga, if something ever went down, like, nigga, come on now. I'm like, like you already know that you wouldn't go against me before your life on the line. So I'm not even gonna waste my time. So you got to prove it. You don't believe it yourself. A lot of that stuff is just that it's always rooted in insecurity, and most people don't know that their energy is knotted up in insecurity. Um,
Yeah, and it's also
and
that pedestal programming, us feeling like it can only be one of everything. Like if there's real niggas, then I'm the realest, or if there's a king, I'm the king, or there's one chief. When in actuality, that we are all just like how we are all gods. We are all, and we all have the spaces where we do great in, and we can shed those things. But we like just like how a lot of comedians say they used to only just be able to be room for just one good comedian. There's only room for one good black actor. There's only room for
oh,
one great artist. There's always just
bro.
the top. Who's on the top? When in actuality, that's not how systems exist. That's not how humans exist. And I'm sorry to interrupt your thought, bro.
No, that's perfect. Prince versus Michael Jackson, and Jordan versus Kobe, and even right now you got the Celtics, Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown. They on the same team. All you hear is who's the real leader, who's the best between.
That's
Oh,
all
why
they
do
used to
y'all have?
say.
Why do you
Can they
have to keep
coexist?
pitting people over and over again? You got to pit people against each other no matter what, and all you're doing is knotting up their energy. Because why you want to be king? You invalidating yourself because you feel like you're not worthy unless you hold one of those titles, and it's rooted in insecurity. You shouldn't want to be anything because you already are. Whoever
Mm.
you are, whatever you are it right now. Learn more about what you already are instead of trying to make yourself be something that society painted as a worthiness symbol. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So yeah.
yeah. They teach us that greatness threatens our own greatness. When in actuality, greatness can be shared. It's not a limited commodity.
What is greatness? Why we just can't be?
Yeah,
You can just whatever you are. This is the thing. Whenever you feel, first of all, whenever you feel a little bit less than what you want to feel, know that you are always worthy, right? Because you exist. If
you are
you
right.
did, trust me, if you weren't worthy of existence, trust me, you wouldn't exist, because by definition non-existence don't exist. It's filled up by all the shit that will never ever exist. So if you're created, you 100% are meant to be here, and without you, all that is not all that is,
You
because
are
you
right.
are a part of all that is. So whenever you ever feel a little bit down, take solace in the fact that you are here, you are created, and out of all of the beings, out of all of the consciousness, you get to be behind your eyes right here right now, controlling everything and feeling everything and just vibrating however you want to vibrate. So amazing affirmation you can say is, I am who I am, and that's enough.
Hmm.
Fuck, you don't have to be just I am great or big or powerful. You don't have to be none of that, because you already perfect as you are.
You are
You
right. You
all
are right.
you transcend powerful. You
Hmm.
transcend power. You transcend big. You transcend king, because you literally are, bro. And ain't
Yeah.
nothing anybody could ever do about it. No fucking matter what. You always was. You always will be. And it ain't shit anybody could ever do about it. So you can take solace in the fact I am who I am, and that's enough.
You are right. And in actuality, like that's a realness that I have to recognize, because I there's a space of me where I will have fear of my greatness, or fear that I'm not doing enough, or fear that I need to do, and all these other things.
Let me stop
And
you. That's because you have comparison.
exactly, exactly.
Because and the art of comparison pulls you out of the present, because it's like I could be here or I should be here, and that instantly takes you from behind your eyes. It's something perpetuated by the system, the programming. When you know you are who you are, get right here behind your eyes. You got an amazing life. You're powerful as fuck. You got so much fucking knowledge. It's almost weird having these conversations with you. Your wife is fucking absolutely amazing on the same spiritual, intellectual, and energetic level as you. That already is past everything that most people want. You got a solid foundation at home. You got stuff happening, and you're continuously extending your consciousness on a consistent basis. Like, it's so much shit to be happy for right now. It ain't nothing to compare it to, because you already are. It's happening right now. So as soon as you start thinking about this, just be like, hey, I got a pretty cool life right here, right now, like at this moment, because the only thing exists is now. Next time you talk to me, you're gonna be like, Ray, what time it is? I'm gonna be like, now.
Mhm.
And what about a little bit after that? It's like, now. It's always now. The past is just an expression of an energy imprint of what used to be now, in the
Mhm.
now, and the future don't even exist. It's just your idea of what's going to be now at some point. It don't even exist though. The only thing that exists is right here, right now. And once you really start just honing in on that, and just zooming in and just focusing on that, it becomes so much easier to let the comparison go, because all of that is just comparing yourself to a version of you that don't even exist. Like, nigga, this is here right now, what exists.
Mhm.
And how fucking
And
great.
this deserves everything it deserves. This right
Everything.
now deserves everything. You're right. You are right,
Yes.
and I appreciate you, brother,
Oh
for
man, that's
sure.
so dope. That's so amazing that you
I
even
appreciate
there.
it.
That's so amazing,
And
man.
the thing is, it's not like I'm not aware of that thought process, but it's like it's so easy to just
Oh.
fall into these states where and even if it's not physical, just it just starts churning and turning and
Mhm,
turning and searching and trying to pull, when in actuality it's all here.
mhm.
It's all here.
And the feeling that you get is a blessing, because whether it comes out in the form of anxiety or the form of depression, or no matter what it is, it's always a sign and it's a signal. And if you don't suppress it, beautiful things happen, because you get to explore, like, hey, something is basically just telling you some of it's out of alignment with exactly who you prefer to be right now. So you
Hmm.
just got to explore yourself and ask for, like, the fact that you bring stuff to a podcast shows that you're exploring. If you use it like that and actually run towards it instead of suppressing it, get high, get drunk, don't talk about it, act like it's not there, you create resistance when you try to push something away. But when you run to it, let it run its course. Figure out what it's trying to tell you. It's a belief system of yours that you hold on to that no longer serves you. And it
Exactly.
probably was rooted in something with the comparison, based on our upbringing, based on societal standards. And it's sometimes you can transcend something, and you can almost, because we're rising like this, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And it's all because energy doesn't stop. Just like you were saying
No.
earlier, failure, they make it seem like failure is permanent, but failure is just a
Yeah.
fucking, it's just one stop,
The
and then
moment.
boom,
It's a
then
moment.
boom.
Yeah.
Just like perfection doesn't exist. They make in
Right.
movies and shit, make it seem like you get to a certain peak and nothing ever changes. Well, that's not energy. That doesn't exist. And period. The only thing that exists in the fundamental structure of life is that nothing stays the same. That's it.
Hmm.
Other than that, everything else is up for grabs. Energy is always moving. So sometimes you'll find yourself on these peaks, and that's perfectly fine. That's literally this human manifestation. That's part of being here. That's what makes it wonderful. That's what makes your peaks so much more better. That's what, you know what I mean? The duality. And the fact that you run towards it, man, I commend you for it, brother. That's going to make you so powerful. Every time you listen to yourself, oh, I'm getting anxiety about something. How exciting. Time for me to unravel some energetic knots and become more happier and more fulfilled. But when you suppress it, it doesn't become a problem and negatively impact you. So use everything, even what you don't prefer, in the way that you do prefer.
For sure. For sure. And I hope everybody walks away with the energy you just gave, because it's that is powerful. So don't be defined by Your dollar amount do not be defined by your credit score, do not be defined by your friend amount, do not be defined by your followers, do not be defined by your viewers and your likes and your shares, do not be defined by all these exterior things, because just like my brother Sun Ray says, you are enough. Mm, and that's all it is.
That's
That
it.
was
Because of who you are.
of who you are. Yes,
Who
sir.
you are.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, brother. I think that's a perfect spot to end it on. And much love and peace, man. Much love.
Absolutely, brother. Much love to you, man. I appreciate you. Until next time, I'm excited for the next time, man.
Hell yeah. Hell